We're here with Mississippi College head coach John Bland as we get set to take on the West Florida Argonauts this Friday night in Pensacola. We'll take a look at that game in just a moment. First, Coach, let's go back and talk about the Delta State game. Your team was once again ready to play, especially on defense. A great start to the game, and coming from a good week of practice, you know the players are ready to go, and you can't ask for much more of what they're doing at the start of the games this season.
They've been really prepared. You know what? It has a lot to do with the coaches getting them ready, but also those guys buying in, and they're when you come off a loss, sometimes people will let down. Our guys have continued to get stronger and better each and every week, which is good in all phases. I'm talking about defense. Offensively, we've improved, and also on special teams. We've seen some mistakes in special teams, and those did not happen. I felt like we won in special teams the other day with these big returns, and also getting those punts off and changing the field position has been really big for us.
And one of those young men who had a good game is Darius Young with a school record in kickoff return yards, and it's not just good for him as an individual performance, but also getting his team in a position to win, because that translates into field position.
Darius is very talented. You know, when I started recruiting him out of Tennessee, he was going to be a defensive back. Played defensive back really good. Got a lot of awards in high school for playing defensive back, return game, but also as a receiver. And so he can do a lot of things, and he proved that the other day. He's one of the best, not only on our team, but he's one of the best in our conference.
Well, we kind of saw this past week how turnovers can be costly, as Delta State scored 17 points off those turnovers. But a lot of that's kind of freshman mistakes, and those things you're going to learn on the field, and you just got to get those guys in game situations, give them a chance to make plays happen. No
doubt. You know what, we consider a turnover, as far as an interception or a fumble, a critical error. Those are the type of things we need to avoid. The one right before half, you know, you could say we're up 10-6. Let's just go into halftime in the lead. Well, we're on the 50-yard line. We got a minute. We've got a chance to compete like we're trying to win, and I've got to trust those players to make those plays. And sometimes it doesn't happen. We had them pinned back, and they went down the field in 3 plays, and we made another critical error on defense by letting one of their guys get behind us about 10 yards, and just gave them a great easy field position right there on the 2-yard line. So we've got to, play consistently good, for 60 minutes. And those 2 plays were pretty much almost back to back, and cost us that lead going into the halftime.
But what you don't want to have them do is play scared, and
no.
So you put them in positions to make plays like that.
They got to do it. That's part of it. So we're continuing to do that, and I'm not going to just run the clock out just so we can. Now at the end of the game we will, but at half, when we're trying to increase the lead, we'll do those things. I trust our players are getting better. They're good enough to make those plays, and we'll continue to keep calling them and we'll see that success.
Again, defensively, I think their quarterback was on the run a lot, and the secondary had a really good ball game. What are their best of the year for that unit?
They did, and Delta State is explosive on offense. They've got a lot of weapons. Their quarterback was very good. He had a great running back. We know was several, not just him, but he was several guys that could run the football successfully. They get the ball out in space. Puts a lot of strain on our on defensive personnel. One of the things we did, we tried to win the time of possession to keep them off the field on offense. That did do that, but we still have to make tackles in space. Our guys did that well for the most part. They still had some yards and got some points, but we held them pretty successfully compared to the other teams they've played.
Well, this part of the season is when the injuries start to get a little more piling up, and E.J. Hurley went down last week, a strong offensive lineman for the Choctaws. Give us an update on any other bumps and bruises that you can tell us about.
Well, there's a lot of guys that have bumps and bruises on our team. They're just going to play through it, but we've got some that will be up to the game time or when we travel, which is actually Thursday. We're going to do this a day earlier because of the possible hurricane that's coming in. We don't want to mess with a hurricane and an opponent, so we're going to get over and play it before the storm comes in. And so it kind of puts us in a little bit of a bind in several ways with injuries where we could be maybe a kid get well or at least in game type position where he can play. We might not be able to make that decision before we leave, so we may be losing a few guys. Some others are going to have to step up and make that happen for us. So, and we feel good about our guys that have been waiting their turn.
West Florida is another kind of pass-happy football team, and so this will be another big challenge for that secondary.
No doubt. They've been really good. They won a really exciting game against Florida Tech last week. It was Florida Tech, I think, had the game won, and they had a penalty on the last play of the game, a penalty where they were trying to run the clock out. It was a loss of down penalty, which meant it was Florida West Florida's ball now, and now they kick a field goal with 0 seconds on the clock, one untimed down, and they won the ball game. So that's exciting for them, very sickening for Florida Tech. I know that I kind of learned from that mistake on their film, so you know, that call that they had. So they've had some success, and a lot of it has been through the air.
Well, as you mentioned, we're playing Friday night rather than Saturday because of the incoming storm. What's
Right.
the biggest challenge for you and your coaching staff with an adjustment at this late time?
Well, we hadn't had to adjust anything as far as practice or preparation goes so far, which has been good. We continue to do that. We're going to go ahead and get that practice in on Thursday, just like we were going to plan on doing it in the beforehand, and then we're going to, only thing that the challenge was getting the hotel rooms to be adjusted one night before, getting the buses to get up here to pick us up. So I'm sure we'll run into some more as we go along with meals and things. You know, you take 90 people as far as players, coaches, staff, trainers, all that, all those things just don't happen overnight, which we're going to try to make that happen though. And so there'll be some challenges. Hopefully these are guys, young men, they're resilient. We'll get on that field and they'll play some football.
Coach, we're looking forward to it. Thanks again for your time this week. Good luck.
Thank you.